Hi guys, and welcome to the Performance Kitchen. Our next guest, who's going to cook up a treat in the kitchen today, is 800 metre Paralympic athlete Ben Rowlings. Ben, welcome to the kitchen.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Now, talk me through what we're going to cook today.
This is my kind of comfort meal. So it's when I've had a long day at training or I'm on a bit of a rest day, this is kind of my go-to food. So it's chicken jalfrezi, but all the sauces are kind of made from scratch.
Oh, sounds like an absolute dream, healthy curry. Now, what's the method we're going to use here?
Right, so I like my curries quite spicy, so it'll be chopping and de-seeding chilies, peppers, finely chopping onions and tomatoes, and basically bung it all in one big pan, and it kind of takes care of itself from there.
Sounds good, quick and easy. And chicken in there too?
Yeah, chicken is just nice, quick and easy to cook, but you could probably do it with fish or other kinds of meats. But chicken, because it cooks quite quickly, it kind of goes quite well if it's all in one pan.
Right, great. Well, let's get down to the important business and let's get cracking. What's first?
Chopping and de-seeding the chilies. So,
right.
Depending on how hot you want your curry, how many you use. So I usually go for about 3.
We'll go for that then. I do like a little kick in the curry. You need to sort of give a bit of pizzazz, don't you, to it? So how do you go about chopping your chilies?
Right, so I'll just chop the stem off there.
Yeah.
And then just try, without cutting yourself, just to slice down the centre of the chilli all the way down to the bottom. And that should open them up.
Yeah, I think that has. Okay, and then do you de-seed them?
Yeah, you can use your fingers or a little teaspoon if they're bigger chilies, will kind of work just as well.
Yeah, I've got a little baby, I think, here. And when would you normally cook this meal and eat this meal?
Kind of be an evening meal, so it'll be after I do a lot of my training. So it'll be, because I do a lot of sessions in the morning, so I'll have a lot of free time in the evenings and afternoons and stuff. So just to be able to have a bit of comfort food when you're a bit tired and achy, it just kind of helps.
Comfort food, but also healthy comfort food, I guess.
Yeah, so I think this meal's probably about 250 calories per serving, so it's not that bad. And
winning.
Depending on if you're having rice and everything on top, it'll obviously bump it up a little bit, but for a curry, it's not too bad.
And I guess you can have brown and white rice.
Yeah, either or,
you fancy,
brown, white,
or potatoes as well. Some people like potatoes, don't they?
Yeah, I've never really been a big fan of potatoes with curry. I always like it quite traditional, so just with rice is usually what I go for, but any kind of carby stuff would go quite well with it.
Great, so I'm getting rid of this second one, so that's 2 each. Are we doing 2 each or 1 each?
Do 2 each.
Should we add this one and then we're getting a bit outrageous, aren't we?
Yeah.
Adding that extra pizzazz. Okie there we go. Right, so dicing them up?
Yeah, just nice and finely chop them.
Okay, I'll cut this on a little bit, because that's the thing, chilies are nice, but then if you do come across a chunky one and then it hits the roof of your mouth, you know about it, don't you?
Yeah, my dad likes his food quite hot, so he usually ends up adding a few extra ones in that are a bit of a nasty surprise sometimes.
Great, there we go, diced chilies.
Right, so if we put all of them on one chopping board, so we know
what's
what.
And I can get rid of all these little bits.
So we can get 3 fairly ripe tomatoes and just kind of roughly chop them. So what I tend to do is do it in halves and then quarter it, and that's usually about right, because they'll soften up by themselves when you start to cook them.
I guess the juices all flow in as well. Right, so Ben, take me back. How did you get involved in doing disability sports?
Well, I've had my disability since I was born, so it's kind of just been ingrained in me to kind of get on with sport. It was kind of a release when I was younger, just to kind of manage all the stress and stuff of growing up with a disability. I wanted to be a rugby player growing up, but obviously not being able to run, it's kind of a bit of a problem. So I started parasport at early teens, and I started athletics in about 2012. So I watched some of the athletes compete out there, and it kind of inspired me to get started.
And do you feel that, obviously you were born with your disability, you overcame challenges growing up, having that from birth?
Yeah, I mean, because I've never known different, it's been kind of just getting on with it. And my mates and my family have been kind of really good at just treating me normally. Like, I get no easy rides with them. So it's just been part of it. You kind of learn to just grow up and manage it. So it's just been part of growing up a little bit.
Yeah, of course. And obviously sport has helped you along the way in finding that niche in finding athletics?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really competitive, so it always helps to have something that you're quite good at.
Yeah.
Especially something that I can do that's a little bit better than my little brother. So he likes to think he's a little bit better than me.
Competitive family.
Just a little bit.
Okie doke, right, those tomatoes looking good. Can they sort of...
Yeah, all go
the
again on the
chilies?
same.
Great. I like this. Just bung everything in one.
It's so much easier, and it saves on the washing up. I'm usually quite lazy. So the less washing up I can do, the better. So we take 2 cloves of garlic. So if you take that one.
Thank you very much.
That's a bit small. So just, chop it, peel it.
Peel.
This is the bit I really struggle with because it's all really.
I never know really how to. I've seen someone before doing a sort of a homemade crushing scale, and other people putting it through the garlic crusher. But sadly, Ben, we don't have the luxuries of a garlic crusher here at the kitchen.
A knife blade is just
so we'll see if this will work. But I'm trying to avoid any sort of injury to the hand.
That's one.
Cracking. Oh, that's good. There we go. Oh, that's come out quite well. Give it a dice. And obviously garlic just gives that added flavour.
Yep.
And it's meant to be really good for the immune system as well, garlic.
Yeah.
Stave away the winter colds. There we go. Is that looking all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Great.
Everything with me is just a bit rough around the edges. It doesn't have to be precise. So it's that fine. There you go.
There we go. That's coming together nicely.
Yep. So now it'll just be a case of putting 2 tablespoons of sunflower oil or any kind of oil.
Yeah. Would you like sunflower? We've got macadamia oil. Which one would you prefer?
Sunflower's fine.
Sunflower's fine. And 2 tablespoons or teaspoons?
Tablespoon. I think it's tablespoons.
Well,
usually, yeah.
Let's go tablespoon. There we go. And is this heat? Should we get the heat on as well? And then we're just going to bung it all in the pan. Okay, Ben, so we've chopped the tomatoes. Are we just going to bung those in the pan?
Yeah, that will go straight in there.
Shall I hold and you scrape?
Yeah, can do. Let me just get
Team effort.
Okay. So all of it just goes straight into there.
Nice sizzle as well.
Yeah. We've got to just give it a little bit of a stir.
Yeah.
Just check up on that. And then while that's going, make sure it's nice and quick. Dice the chicken into just little bite-sized chunks.
Like so.
However many people you're serving is how many chicken breasts you have. So this recipe is usually for about 4.
Great. And do you cook this for your friends, for your family?
Usually my family. So if my mum's on night shifts and it's just me and my sister at home, she fancies a curry. There'll usually be something like that. Or I'll make up 2 or 3 portions, put them in a Tupperware dish, and they'll be lunch for the next 2 or 3 days.
That's great news. And you can also put them in the freezer, I guess, can't you? And have them as and when. Yep. Thank you very much. Just chop this. Tell me, Ben, you were chosen for the Paralympics last year in Rio. How did you feel when you got chosen?
I cried. It was probably the only time I'll ever admit to it. But yeah, what happens is we get a day where we know the call's coming. You kind of sit by a phone all day. It's worst day ever because your nan rings to see if you found out and you're shouting out to get off the phone. But no, so I found out just after a training session. I'd gone through the whole day not hearing anything, trained with my phone in between my legs when I was pushing around the track, and got the phone call just as I finished.
What a magical moment for you. And then obviously, so chicken in the pan?
Yep.
And then obviously going to Rio, also many of us will never ever experience that. What was that like for you?
It was the scariest thing I've ever done, just because I didn't know what to expect.
So you've done nothing like it before?
Nothing like, I've done World and Paralympics and stuff like that, but never anything multi-sport. So yeah, Rio was a big kind of learning curve. A wooden spoon just to...
just in there. Yeah, wooden spoon to stir it all. We'll move the chicken boards over there, get those out of the way. That looks delicious. So tell me, I'm intrigued, tell me more about Rio. Tell me what it was like, what the atmosphere was like, and being in the village. Yeah,
it was very hot. A lot hotter than what I'm usually used to. So I got there, we gone out a couple of weeks beforehand, just to kind of get used to the heat. And then we went into the village early September. And that was kind of the moment that it kind of hit home that it's kind of a big deal, this.
That was the pinch me moment. This is how far I've come since starting wheelchair sports and wheelchair athletics, and next thing you know, you're competing for your country.
Exactly. It's something you kind of dream about as a kid and never think it's actually going to happen. So when it does, it's kind of quite daunting and quite scary, and I think that's the bit that I kind of struggled with, is the fact that it's a lot bigger deal than what I kind of... Because I tried to keep it nice and calm and low-key and go, it's just another race, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not just another race.
It's not when you get there.
And I can remember the first race I had was a 100-metre final. And we were waiting in the call room beforehand, and there was a Brazilian in the race just before. So the crowd erupted. I think there was 35,000 people in the crowd. Screaming for this Brazilian. I was sitting underneath the track, just
that is phenomenal.
A bit scared.
Yeah.
And we came out of the tunnel.
We're just putting the spices in. So
yeah,
it's a mixture. Just talk me through the mixture of spices there.
So it's just a tablespoon, I think, of cumin, tarragon, a pinch of sea salt, and some sugar.
Great.
And that will just go in there. And
all natural as well, which a lot of people don't. It's very traditional to cook natural sort of ingredients with a.
If I stir that, can you have just to grab me 200 mils of water?
No problem at all.
We had some natural yoghurt in now. Some people get a bit cautious about this just because it might separate. It doesn't matter too much because it'll all go into the sauce anyway. So that's fine.
And that thickens the curry?
Yeah.
Great.
So I like to guesstimate a lot with stuff.
So that's the best way. I do a lot of guesstimating.
So roughly about 2 tablespoons of yoghurt, and then just stir that occasionally.
I suppose you can add as you go along, can't you? It's better to put less than too much at the beginning.
So you just kind of leave that to simmer away and let the chicken cook first.
Great. Okay, back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board. So it's back to more veggies.
Suits me.
So if you can chop and kind of cool the pepper.
Can indeed. Yep. Would you like this knife? There we go.
I'll do that one, and I'll do the rest of these tomatoes.
Fab. So when you were in Rio, what was the food like out there? Did you have specific meals cooked for you? Was there a huge food village? I've heard stories of the food village, but... Yeah.
In the holding camp, we kind of had our own nutritionist there. So she kind of made sure we were eating all the right stuff.
Yeah.
But when we moved into the village, it's just kind of a massive, great big canteen. Filled with foods from all over the world, from Italian to Chinese to Indian. And it's the same kind of foods all time, all day for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So it can get a bit kind of boring and a bit dull. So kind of try everything in dribs and drabs, so you don't go all in at once.
Now I heard on the grapevine that there was a McDonald's in the village.
Because McDonald's sponsor the Olympics, there was a McDonald's in the canteen. And the queue for that, once everyone had finished racing, was stupidly long. It kind of put you off going there just because you didn't want to queue for 2 hours.
I can imagine, because I guess all the athletes have been on these strict diets for the past year, and then they just finish their race and think, oh, I could just fancy some McDonald's chips.
Exactly.
We're only human.
Chicken nuggets was the one thing I got after I finished racing. That was my kind of treat to myself.
Talking of treats, when you're whether you're competing or training, do you have your go-to treat meal that you think, oh, I really fancy this and have to have?
I got a bit of a sweet tooth, so anything kind of chocolatey is my kind of downside. It's my little binge meals. Mainly just little treats, so it can be anything from just a normal chocolate bar to... My mum makes quite a good chocolate cake, so that's always on there when she's cooking it, but it's never quite often enough.
Tell me about her speciality chocolate cake.
It's chocolate and cola cake. You wouldn't think it, but she puts in a can of Coke, so it keeps the cake nice and moist and it gives it a bit of an extra.
That's something I've never ever heard of before, but would like to try.
Yeah. Right. Last thing with these veg is onions. So they've been peeled for us.
Great.
So it's a case of just really roughly chopping.
Trying not to cry.
Exactly.
Should have worn my swimming goggles. Sometimes I saw my friend once chopping an onion, and to stop her eyes watering, she wore her swimming goggles, which was quite entertaining. Only one of my friends would do that then, though.
I'm a nightmare with onions. I'd make sure I put glasses on. And
streaming in a moment. At least these have already been peeled, though.
Yeah.
And I'll just sort of stand back a little bit. Are we just slicing like this?
It
dicing?
doesn't make that much of a difference.
Okay.
Just however you feel comfortable, however
Great.
you want to have them.
We touched upon it briefly before. You said that you wanted to play rugby.
Yep.
Have you ever tried wheelchair rugby?
I haven't. I don't think I qualify for the classification because they want all 4 limbs affected. It's mainly my legs that are affected. I've got a little bit of an overflow into my arms, but it's mainly my legs, so I don't think I'd qualify.
Okay.
So I tend to live my rugby thing through my friends that play it more than anything.
I guess you could do it for fun, couldn't you,
Yeah.
rather than for competitively, if
Exactly.
you wanted to.
But British athletics are a little bit funny about doing anything that could injure me. And
Of
rugby,
course.
wheelchair rugby is a bit violent.
And
so
funding and that sort of
Exactly.
that sort of thing.
We'll just turn that down a little bit.
Since you've been competing competitively, have you seen a change to how the public sort of perceive disability sports as well?
Massively. After London, there was a big change. Just everyone kind of started respecting us as athletes a little bit more, rather than just your average Joes that just turn up and try on the day. There's still a long way to go to be like the able-bodied Olympic guys and make sure it's a level playing field, but it's definitely a lot better than it was.
Just simmer that down.
Yeah.
That's great. That is great. And I think that the changes that we saw from 2012 and how much media coverage
Yeah.
there is now for disability sports and the Paralympics. I mean, I was hooked on Rio. You know, you watch the Olympics and then you are like, oh, can't wait for the Paralympics to start.
For me, the Paralympics is always a little bit better than the Olympics because all of us have got a story.
Yeah,
We're not
exactly.
all the same.
Yeah.
You could have guys that were serving in the army to guys that were just born with stuff. So it's really, really varied.
Right, and then now back to the cooking. In this pan, we're just going to bung all those other vegetables.
Yeah, so we let that simmer.
Great. I'll turn this down a little bit.
Turn that down
so
a little
we're
bit.
cooking. And this one, this
This
hot at
one,
the back.
yeah, we let that heat up and then we get these just to brown off. So
Right.
the tomatoes will go soft, the onions will brown up, and the peppers will just kind of soften a little bit. And then
Fabulous.
once that's all done, it's all bunged in together, a little bit of corn flour to thicken up the sauce, and that's it.
Sounds pretty delicious.
Yeah, so we just added the vegetables just into there, and they're already pretty much cooked, so it just kind of sits in there and just stews a little bit. But I think it's time to thicken that sauce up a little bit.
Great. I'll just give it a quick stir.
Just grab a little teaspoon out the cookery jar.
And to thicken the sauce.
Yep. Just adding corn flour and a little bit of water in there.
Great.
So for every teaspoon of corn flour, add 2 teaspoons of water.
Okay, Ben, this looks great.
all done.
Sauce has been thickened. Should we plate it up?
Yeah. You can
Great,
carry it over because I don't want to
okay.
drop it.
Yeah, oh, no pressure. Right. Have we got a serving spoon for this? As if by magic. I'll let you do the honours.
Oh God. This is where I make a mess of everything.
Oh, it smells great, doesn't it?
That's the one thing I like about curries is you get all the spices and stuff.
And there's a healthy portion of chicken in here, so everyone gets a
Yeah.
decent amount.
Some peppers
Get the
and
greens
stuff in
on.
there.
Should I do this one?
Yep.
Fabulous. Do some size.
That's what I like about dishes like this is you can put them in a Tupperware dish or you can freeze them and they're good for lunches or dinners or whatever when you're running a bit short of time.
And we're going to have it for Sunday lunch.
Yeah.
Suits me just fine. About right,
Yeah.
do you think? Yeah, put one more green on. You can never have too many greens. Great. Looks fantastic. Just use that. Well, Ben, this looks absolutely delicious. And we've got some naan breads to accompany the dish.
Yeah.
Should we tuck in?
Yeah, go for it.
I am excited. Okay. And some sauce. Oh, that sauce is brilliant.
It's got a bit of a kick to it.
I do, like I said, is that extra chilli?
Yeah.
Is that extra chilli? I'm going for one more. And the chicken, really tender.
Yeah.
If I say so, winner chicken dinner. Well, Ben, thank you so much for coming in today and cooking up an absolutely sterling dish.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure to have you. And guys, thank you very much for joining us on the Performance Kitchen, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.